Yo, what's good? What's good? What's good? Coming back at y'all with another live. You know, I know I'm on fire today. It's like my third live stream today, so it's all good. We're gonna get into this a little bit. Just a quick video. Give y'all a minute to get up in here. Do me a favor. When you come up in here, hit the like button. Hit the like button. Hit that like button for your boy. Let me know if the audio is good. Let me know if I'm clear. I should be. I think I fixed the issue I was having with my audio. The level of caping for this dude is boundless. Metaslave was good. Yeah. I agree with you, Metaslave. I don't want to like Brandon Tatum. You know, it is what it is. He is who he is, and I've always known what type of cat he is. Um, does he say some of the right things sometimes? Sure, sure. But when it comes to freedom, he espouses this freedom stuff, but he doesn't really believe in it. Especially if since he believes in law and order. Anybody that espouses that law and order bullshit, they're not really for freedom. So, that's I've always known that about Brandon Tatum, and of course, I mean, he's one of those c words. You know what I'm saying? He's a coon, essentially. You know what I'm saying? He will trash his own people just to make white people feel good, and you know, that's the ultimate form of coonery. Like, he will bash his people. See, I don't need to bash black people to get along with white people. You understand what I'm saying? I don't need to curry favor with white folks by bashing black people. If they don't like me for who I am, if they don't like me for the truths that I spit, you know what I'm saying? They can go on somewhere with that bullshit. I don't need them. And that goes for anybody, not just white people. That goes for any type of person, black, white, Hispanic. You know, I'm straightforward, and I don't need to pander to any group. I just spit the facts as I see fit. Um, I've essentially left Brandon Tatum alone for the most part because he hasn't really been jumping out the window lately. But until today, where he, of course, it doesn't matter, right? In every instance where there's a police officer involved, and there's a question of the uh, the level of goodness of that police officer or worthiness or whether the police officer was a murderer or something like that, he is always going to take the side of the police officer because he used to be a police officer, and because a lot of his base love police for whatever reason, he is going to continue to cape for the police, and that's just who he is. But when he puts out bullshit, or when he puts out something that I feel is bullshit, because this right here, police were not cowards. Do your research. Okay. What he wants you to believe is that there are certain tactics and protocols that police have to go by, and you can't just do this, that, and the third. That's pretty much what he's saying in this video, which I'm going to go over. AZ Russian, what's up? Trapping and showing what's good, man. AZ Russian is in the building. this white people where he doesn't enjoy his oonery. Hey man, you know, if you can sniff out pandering, you're my kind of person. Like I said, I don't have a problem with white people in general. Okay, but I can get along with white people. I know some good white people, but I am not. I don't need to pander to them. I don't need to kowtow and act like one of the good Negroes. I don't need to explain to them, oh, I'm a good Negro. I'm a good Negro. You can, oh, yes, sir, I'm a good Negro. I'm one of the good ones. I don't need to do that. But what's funny is Brandon Tatum and ABL needs to do that. As a matter of fact, they were doing one of their little shows together on a Thursday, and Brandon Tatum was talking about how he feels like he has to go up to white people in his neighborhood and let them know he's one of the good ones. And ABL said the same thing. So that lets you know what type of individual he is. And he's also the type to say, oh, black culture is this, that, and the third, where, you know, killing each other, blah, blah, blah. That's black culture. When he says shit like that, you already know what type of cat he is. So I don't even really need to get further into that. Rashard Giver was good. Javier Sain says, police are always the last one to come when there's a crime scene. Usually the ambulance and the firefighters are first to people to show up. Yeah, real shit. But let's get into this. We're gonna play this video real quick and see what he's talking about.
Make an entry. Officers are there. The initial officers, they receive gunfire. They don't make entry initially because of the gunfire they're receiving. We need equipment. We need specialty equipment. We need body armor. We need precision riflemen.
Can you guys hear that?
Negotiators. So during that time that they're making those calls to bring in help to solve this problem and stop it immediately, they're also evacuating personnel. Not say personnel, students, teachers.
Ladies and gentlemen, you know, I always have to be the one that has a cool head that goes against the narrative.
Wow.
Every single person that...
The level of arrogance in this man. I always have to be the one with the cool head. Really, bro? All right.
that came out and said, them officers are cowards. They cowards. They didn't do nothing. They just let these kid die for 40 minutes. They just sat there. Use your common sense. And a lot of people who are not in law enforcement, they don't know what they're talking about.
That's always his go-to. Oh, if you're not in law enforcement, you have no idea what you're talking about. Oh, you can't speak on it because you're not in law enforcement. That is a fallacious argument. That is appeal to authority, right? He's appealing to authority because he has no other place to go. Oh, if you're not a police officer, then you don't know what the blah, blah, the blue, blow. He's appealing to authority because he knows that it's not real. It's not reality. Just because we don't know the exact ins and outs of police procedure in this instance doesn't mean that the police weren't cowards. That doesn't mean that. But we're gonna find out for show. We're gonna find out for show what's cracking.
I told you, and I said it in a tweet, I was on a plane today and I just did my 3-hour radio show, so I couldn't make a video yet. But people, conservatives out here, quick to jump on the bandwagon, just like the left.
You know why? Because they know. And I will say over the last couple years, since the pandemic happened, conservatives have been looking at the police a little side-eye. You know what I'm saying? But he's talking real reckless to his conservative base right now. We'll see how that pans out.
You see a video out of context, and you just jump on the police. It makes me sick to my stomach.
Video out of context. Was good, Jay with open eyes. Yeah, he's always lying. But he's supposed to be for freedom, bootlicking law enforcement Like, this why conservatives initiate the F out of me. Irritate. Oh, yeah. Yeah, real shit. Real shit, Jay.
Stomach. People do not understand tactics.
Oh,
They don't understand.
We don't understand tactics? How do you know that? So everyone that criticized the police in this instance, they don't know nothing about tactics. And we're going to find out, too. We're going to find out if that's the reality. I understand tactics. I know people that understand tactics that would completely disagree with what this man's saying. Let's continue.
Tactics. When you see a video, because I was on a SWAT team, and we trained with Bortak. So I was on the SWAT team. And when I see officers there with the parents, I understand, because I know policing, that these are officers that are on a perimeter. These are not officers that are actively engaged. Ladies and gentlemen, you can't be asking for SWAT, asking for Bortak, and you don't have an eye on the school. You don't have containment set up. You don't know where the shooter's at. You gotta stop watching stuff. Of course, the parent.
They don't know where the shooter's at. Only SWAT and Vortex can go in and save children from being slaughtered. You see what what's going on here? The police have no problem engaging unarmed individuals without SWAT and killing them. They have no problem killing unarmed individuals in their cars. A guy going to get his ID like the police officer told him to, get shot in the back and all that type of shit. Or the police officer tell you to show me your hands, you shoot him. You have no problem engaging with motherfuckers who ain't got shit on them. But as soon as a motherfucker got something to blang back at your ass, oh, we got to wait for SWAT and all that type of good shit. Oh, so we got to wait an hour for SWAT? When you have somebody that's in a building with children actively shooting in a classroom, you feel comfortable enough and right enough. You feel comfortable in your mind. You feel like you're doing everything that you could do as a human being and as an individual police officer who has a weapon with other police officers that you are with who have weapons that you can use to engage the shooter. What do you need? What you need an AR too? You need an AR for real? You're in close quarters. You know the guys in the school, in a classroom or whatever. Just because you don't know where he is doesn't mean you can't enter the building and find out where the hell he is. So the police aren't trained with in tactical breach or in tactical clearing of a building unless they're in SWAT. And if that's the case, that's a problem. But I happen to know police officers are trained to clear a building, even if they're not SWAT. Because if there's immediate action that needs to be taken, the police should be doing that. They have no problem busting up in somebody's house with an extreme risk protection order against them, a red flag law order that you have no idea if the guy is actually dangerous. You ain't got no problem going there and engaging and killing that motherfucker, do you? But somebody you know is dangerous and is actively killing children, is shooting people, when you have kids calling you from in the classroom saying, oh, there's a guy in here killing people. Oh, now you can hang back? You can hang back and wait? Or when a Breonna Taylor is in the house with her boyfriend, you ain't got no problem beating in the door when they dead asleep. And why'd I get shot? I said I was a and then what? And then you kill this woman? You ain't got no problem engaging the police. Engaging the motherfucker when you are pretty sure that they're not going to be a real threat. Oh, you're jumpy. oh, I fear for my life. So you don't fear for these kids' lives? If you answer a domestic violence call, do you wait for SWAT, or do you go check that out? Do you go into the house to see if you can de-escalate or do something? So now when there's an active shooter situation in a school, you have to wait for SWAT. Is that the tactical shit you talking about?
Parents are going to be upset. Even if the officers are doing what they're supposed to do, they're going to be upset. The children are in there. They're willing to get shot in the middle of the hallway to save their children. That makes sense to them. But ladies and gentlemen, the truth is out there. They had a press conference today. And the press conference was very clear. This kid shot his grandmother. He went to the school unobstructed. There was no police chase. There was none of that. He shot his grandmother in the face.
And the jury is still out on that for me. That's something they said. First, they said they was engaging with the troopers before he entered the building. Who I don't know what to believe. And then officers or a police school officer engaged him but didn't shoot. And then all of a sudden there was no, like, come on, like we don't know what the truth is in regards to that. They backtracking and flip flopping. So we have really no idea.
He went to the school, wrecked the truck in front of the school, jumped out of the passenger side. After he gets out the passenger side, he gets a rifle and a bag. He sees two people across the street from the school at a funeral home. He shoots at them. He goes he jumps a fence. He gets onto the campus. He starts shooting at the school building first. Mm-hmm. He's not confronted by anybody. He walks into the school unobstructed, and they got the video and all of this other stuff that the investigators are looking at, and they're attesting to this in the press conference. He goes into the school. He starts shooting. The local police, the Uvalde's, have cover fire. You got to see what you're shooting. And if they don't have a clear target, they cannot shoot back at him. So while they are trying to get additional resources, and they're attempting to make entry, but he keeps shooting at them. They do not have the equipment. They're outfired. While they're getting the resource together, they're evacuating kids. They weren't just sitting there. They weren't in the park.
If they couldn't get in the building to get to the shooter, how are they able to evacuate children? If the shooter is a shooter shooting at all entrances at once, every point of egress and ingress, he's shooting in every point of egress and ingress in the building, all simultaneously. Regular officers aren't trained in the tactics of clearing a building from multiple points of ingress. Maybe, all that type of shit. But he locked himself in the classroom. So is he able to shoot up and down the hallway from inside the locked classroom? What are we talking about here? Shit don't add up.
Lot, hanging out, tickling each other's booties. They're evacuating teachers. They're evacuating students. While this guy's cornered, and they're getting shot at. Now, about an hour later, which you guys
if you can go in and get students out of the building while you're getting shot at, then why can't you just return fire in the direction that you're getting shot from different points? While one group is shooting at the shooter, you have another team that will flank the classroom from the opposite direction. So you can't lay down enough fire. You don't know where the shots are coming from at all. Is that what we're to believe? But none of this can happen until SWAT comes through. Only SWAT is able to discover where the shots were coming from, what classroom it was. And what about the information from the kids in the classroom? They weren't able to tell you the classroom number. They weren't able to tell you which building or whatever the case may be. It's an elementary school, so there's not a bunch of buildings, right? It's probably one big building to house all these elementary school kids. So the kids in the classroom that are calling 911, they can't tell you the classroom they're in. They're not giving you any information that you can use. You don't see that maybe there's windows where the classroom is, and you can see the bangs. You can't. There's no way until SWAT shows up. Only SWAT is capable of discovering these things. Is that what I'm to believe? Oh, hey, Deuce was good. Adriano Severus says, you don't need to be trained in tactical responses to spot cowardice. Exactly. Yeah, so many people are streaming, I guess. Yeah. It's that time. And I'm on here because, look, man, I need motherfuckers to get with the program. But I think I'm done with this guy. I think I'm done with him. I've heard.
And you got a little handgun. Pow, 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 pow. Once you empty out 16 rounds, you done.
Wait, what? Wait. Hold on, wait.
Maybe you got a mag on your hip.
Oh,
You
maybe
against these police officers and didn't have the information. There's tactics, ladies and gentlemen. You done. And you got a little handgun. Pow, 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 pow. Once you empty out 16 rounds, you done.
You're done? Police officers don't carry extra magazines on them? Wow. I must really not know anything about police tactics if I didn't know that police officers don't have more than one magazine on them. And you mean to tell me none of these police officers have any Armalite rifles in the trunks of their cars? I know it's Texas, right? But Texas is not stuck in the 1900s, right? No police officer they don't have the budget for regular police officers to have an AR-15 or something. Or maybe even a shotgun. Well, maybe not a shotgun with a classroom full of kids. But you can put a slug in that bitch. So you mean to tell me police officers only carry one magazine and it's in the gun? And they don't have, no police officer had an AR. I don't know if they did or not, but I'm just asking because I know multiple police departments, they carry ARs in their fucking trunk. If they had to pull that bitch out, they got it.
Maybe you got a mag on your hip.
Maybe. This is an expert in police tactics. And he has to say, maybe you have an extra. What did he call it? Wait. What did he call it? Wait, no, he didn't.
Maybe you got a mag on your hip.
Oh, man, I thought he said
You 30 rounds, you done. This guy has
30 rounds? So only one police officer can go in there and do this thing? It can't be multiple police officers with multiple handguns laying down multiple streams of fire at this motherfucker? I'm just saying. I'm just asking the question because I don't know nothing about police tactics. I'm just asking questions.
an AR dumping 30-round mags like it's going with a bag full of ammo.
So?
But some of the people who ain't never been in any tactical situation, who ain't never been a police officer, none of this. They say they should have just ran in there.
No. You don't. No, you don't just run in there. You enter the building tactically, strategically. You can train this with your buddies. You can train this. You can do it. You just run through drills. You 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 run through drills with your team, so that at some point you become like one as you move through the building. and learn how to clear and learn how to use the acoustics to find out where the shots are coming from. No one's saying just run up in there and just bang, 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 bang. They're police officers, right? They're supposed to be trained professionals. They're supposed to know what they doing, right? But only when it comes to unarmed suspects. They can only do this with unarmed suspects or people they feel are unarmed or haven't confirmed that they're armed or not. They can only run up on and run through and run in up on motherfuckers who ain't got no firearm on them. But as soon as a motherfucker pull out and get the bang banging, tactics don't matter. They don't know what to do. Anyway, I'm done now.
If you can ID the suspect, you can gain entry, you're not receiving gunfire, then you do have a tactical advantage.
You know, sometimes you have to enter into a situation under fire. But you do it, like I said, you do it tactfully. You lay down cover fire. You leapfrog into the situation with your team. You have somebody who suppresses by fire while another team flanks or something like that. It's not just, Barney Fife and them and I'll just run up in the Opie running. Like, that's not, I mean, if that's how you want to portray police, that's fine. But let's see what this guy's talking about. There is a sheriff, there's a guy here, a police officer for Uvalde. He's going to determine if what Brandon Tatum said is real shit, all right? Texas officials say mistakes were made in response to the school situation. Please get that like up, y'all. Hit the like button, please. Yeah, I mean, that'd be greatly appreciated. Hit the like button. Okay, so let's see what they
enforcement, we should say, is admitting mistakes were made in responding to Tuesday's deadly shooting at Robb Elementary School.
Authorities gave an update on their investigation earlier today, and they said initially that a responding officer mistook a teacher for the gunman and unknowingly passed the suspect as they were responding. Authorities there also saying
I think you heard that right. Hold on.
the back door the gunman used to enter the school had been propped open by a teacher. And we also learned 911 calls were made by students inside the classroom with the gunman. Now, when asked why officers didn't go inside the classroom sooner, officials said there was miscommunication about whether this was an active.
Miscommunication about whether this was an active shooting. Not because, it's not tactfully sound for a regular ass police officer to go in and engage a suspect who's killing fucking children. No, they didn't say that, did they? No, there was a miscommunication. Not, you don't know nothing about tactics. It's just not tactically sound to just do that. No, we got to wait for SWAT. Did they say that? I don't think they did.
Shooter situation.
The benefit of hindsight, where I'm sitting now, of course it was not the right decision. It was the wrong decision, period. There's no.
What'd he say? Now, this is an officer himself. Hold on. This is an officer. Looks like a colonel or something. That's the colonel. That's the bird. What's the point of a colonel in the fucking police force? This is a colonel. I don't know if they call it colonel, but this guy is high ranking. And what did he say?
Period. There's no excuse for that. Wrong decision. Period. There's no excuse. Of hindsight, where I'm sitting now, of course it was not the right decision. It was the wrong decision. Period. There's no excuse for that. But again, I wasn't there, but I'm just telling you, from what we know, we believe there should have been an entry at that as soon as you can.
What? What? What was it? What was it? There should have been an entry as soon as you can. Now, this morning, or earlier today, when I was talking about this, to a degree, I wasn't sure what, you know what I'm saying, what the situation was, blah, blah, blah. But yeah. Because I was talking about how they were all outside in the perimeter. But I wasn't sure if there were already people inside the building that were trying to engage this active shooter. But it's clear that they dropped the ball on this one. Let's see what he said again.
Wasn't there, but I'm just telling you, from what we know, we believe there should have been an entry at that as soon as you can.
An entry as soon as you can. That's what he said. Not as soon as SWAT can. As soon as you can, as police officers, which we know, right? The Supreme Court decision said that police officers don't have to serve and protect. And that should be further reason that we don't need these motherfuckers. That we should just, again, empower ourselves so that we can protect ourselves and our children and not rely on government sanctioned and government assigned police officers. They have no duty to protect you or your children. Zero. And I don't want them to because they're state sanctioned. They're not private police who have to go and bid for the work and do a good job to keep the job. No, these motherfuckers are wrapped up in bureaucracy that we have no say over, even though we're paying their fucking salary through taxes. But they have no duty to protect you or your children. But like he said, I'm a replay that.
But again, I wasn't there, but I'm just telling you, from what we know, we believe there should have been an entry at that as soon as you can.
As soon as you can.
In the meantime, Tanya Rivero is in Uvalde with more of our continuing coverage of this investigation. Tanya, we got more details of the timeline of that day, a lot more questions than answers. But what more have we learned about law enforcement's response to this shooting so far?
Well, a stunning admission by Director of Public Safety, Steve McGraw, basically admitting that protocol was not followed. He said,
protocol was not followed. But you and me, we don't know shit about police tactics, so we can't say jack shit. But protocol was not followed. What did she say? What was it?
protocol was not followed. He said, of course, it was the wrong decision. There was no excuse for that. And he was talking about the decision to leave the shooter inside that barricaded or locked room with those children who we have now learned, some of whom were calling.
What? What? They knew where that motherfucker was with them kids in that room. And they made the decision to leave them in there with that motherfucker killing them. If it's, you know, allegedly. This being what it is, you know. This being what it is or what it could be or what could not be. Barring that, barring any skepticism about what this is, judging by this against, I'm impeaching, just going through the impeachment of Brandon Tatum. I'm impeaching him right now. I'm impeaching his assertions by giving you this here motherfucking evidence.
Those children who we have now learned, some of whom were calling 911. Locked room with those children who we excuse for that. And he was talking about the decision to leave the shooter inside that barricaded or locked room with those children who we have now learned, some of whom were calling 911.
So this whole narrative about not knowing where the shooter was or where the shooting was coming from or where he was goes out the window, man. Flies out the window. No say. No say. That's bullshit. They knew. They knew where he was. And they left him in there anyway with them kids to be slaughtered.
While they were inside that locked room with the shooter. Now, we also heard McGraw say it is unclear why the 911 agents were not relaying the information to the police officers on the scene.
What? What?
Agents were not relaying the information. Shooter. Now, we also heard McGraw say it is unclear why the 911 agents were not relaying the information to the police officers on the scene that there are children.
Why? They weren't relaying the information?
Still alive in that classroom, because McGraw says the on-scene commander made the decision, which he has now admitted was the incorrect decision, to transition from an active shooter situation to a barricaded subject situation.
Let me run that by y'all again.
Shooter situation to a barricaded. Says the on-scene commander made the decision, which he has now admitted was the incorrect decision, to transition from an active shooter situation to a barricaded subject.
Is Beto O'Rourke going to say that the blood of those children are all in the hands of that commander? And those 911 agents? From an active shooter situation to a barricaded individual situation. That means that you signed all those kids' death warrants when you decided to stand back and stand down. You allowed the shooter to continue to kill those children. But they're not cowards. And why would the police, why would the 911 agents not relay the fact that children are in the classroom, letting them know, yeah, he's sitting here shooting? And how do you go from active shooter to barricaded if you hear fucking gunshots going off? Is it a soundproof room? This is not making any sense. It sounds like these children, and I gotta be careful how I say it, were lined up. I'm gonna use the hood colloquialism. If you know what that means, sound like these kids was lined up. Exactly, old head dudes. For a barricade, he has to be pinned down. They knew where this guy was. But let Officer Tatum tell you, they didn't know. Nobody knew. Come on, man. Now, let's see what else they got to say. This is a lot of good information right here.
Situation in which protocol would be different, but McGraw made it clear that Texas adheres to the active shooter doctrine. If there are children involved and there is a person with a gun, you go in. This is not a hostage.
Excuse me. What did she say?
The active shooter doctrine. If there are children. Barricaded subject situation in which protocol would be different, but McGraw made it clear that Texas adheres to the active shooter doctrine. If there are children involved and there is a person with a gun, you go in. This is not a hostage situation. This is not a barricaded subject situation. It is still considered an active shooter situation. So a pretty stunning admission here. Where it will go from here is unclear, because we did also hear from Oliver Rich, who's the special agent from the San Antonio division. He said if it is warranted that a federal response needs to be made, the FBI is also here. That will happen. The FBI will investigate. But one can only imagine how those parents are feeling right now. I did get to ask Director McGraw whether the children who made those 911 calls, whether they were alive. He said he knew of 2 children, at least 2 children who made 911 calls from that room, and those 2 were alive. But
thank God, if this is what it, if this is reality, thank God those children are alive. But you see, this completely blows the Officer Tatum's "they were not cowards" narrative out of the water. There is no way you can hold on to that after listening to this and listening to what the commander said, or the officer, the guy that was talking about it, McGraw. There's no way that you can hold on to that if you are intellectually honest. If you're an intellectually honest individual, there's no way you can hold on to that and feel good about yourself. What do we know according to this? And according to this report, they knew what a shooter was. They knew he was barricaded in a room with the children, or locked in a room with the children. The commander decided to pull the officers back and de-escalate, or and de-escalate the alert to barricaded subject. The complete opposite, and it's protocol. It's protocol if there is a person with a gun in a school with children. That is considered an active shooter situation, and you immediately go in and deal with that shit. That's the protocol. Even though they don't have a duty to protect your ass. That's the protocol for that particular department. I don't know how else to slice it. I don't know how else to slice it, yo. Please hit the like button. You should check out the 40-minute video. Tatum goes in more into detail about the Uvalde police. I'm not interested. I might watch it, but I'm not going to change my mind about this. What is that going to do? What is going into detail about the Uvalde police? What is that going to determine? What does she say? What did this McGraw guy say?
the children who made those 911 calls, whether they were alive.
What did she say?
He said, so a pretty stunning admission here. A hostage situation. This is not. McGraw made it clear that Texas adheres to the active shooter doctrine. If there are children
the active shooter doctrine, if there are children
involved and there is a person with a gun, you go in. This is not.
You go in. I don't need no 40-minute video about Brandon Tatum going into the details of the Uvalde police. They adhere to the active shooter doctrine. If there are children involved and a person with a gun, you go in. I don't need that. Now, I might actually watch the video, but it's not. I mean, what is that gonna do? What? It's just him copping pleas for the police, as he always is going to do. It's just him copping pleas. He's going to pull up some shit about, oh, you got to hang back, you got to wait for the motherfucking SWAT team. But in an active shooter situation with children,
not relaying the information to the police officers on the scene that there are children still alive in that classroom, because McGraw said.
And even if there aren't children still alive, so are you saying that because all the you think the children are dead, you're not going to engage this motherfucker?
The on-scene commander made the decision, which he has now admitted was the incorrect decision.
The incorrect decision.
to transition from an active shooter situation to a barricaded subject situation.
I don't need that 40-minute video is not going to change my mind. I don't know if you presented that to me for that reason. Did you watch the video? Did he mention anything about any of this? What did he go into? James Millich? The cop chick on NBC was way more easy to stomach than Tater. What cop chick on NBC? Please put a link in the thangy thing. Please, y'all need to hit that like button, man. Hold on. So, look at here. Mom says she jumped fence, ran in to save kids as cop used handcuffs, tasers, and pepper spray on frantic parents. As a composite timeline of horrific events surrounding the slaughter of 19 elementary school children and 2 teachers in Uvalde, Texas, begins to emerge, a mother of 2 Robin Elementary students claims she was placed in handcuffs by federal agents as the scene of the tragedy, while other officers used their tasers, and they're probably talking about Border Patrol, tasers and pepper spray on frantic parents. How things unfold at the school has come under intense scrutiny after videos of parents begging police officers outside the school to do something to stop the active shooter surfaced. As American Wire News reported, inconsistencies and questions abound in the accounts of the day, including whether or not shots were fired outside of the school and why law enforcement did not engage the shooter, who was left barricaded in a classroom full of children for between 30 and 60 minutes sooner. They were doing nothing, Andrew Rose Gomez told Wall Street Journal. Gomez, who has 1 child in the 2nd grade in Robb Elementary and another in 3rd, persistently prodded police to act. They were just standing outside the fence. They weren't going in there running anywhere, she said. In the video below, you can hear horrified parents urging police to act.
These cops are right here. Bro, there's a fucking shooting at the school, and these fucking cops are telling everybody to leave, dude. While everybody's here trying to pick up their fucking kids. They're saying that the shooter's in a new building. I don't know if they had a new building.
Like, if they got a shot, shoot him or something. Fuck.
Look, they're just all fucking parked and outside, man. They need to go in there.
Get across the street. Okay, we're gonna back up. Are you gonna walk into that gate and get him?
You gotta get violent with us. Go get violent with
Go get violent with the one that has the rifle here.
There's motherfucking with 20 motherfucking guns. One fucking gun.
You know that there are kids, right? They're little kids. They don't know how to defend themselves. 6-year-old kids in there. They don't know how to defend themselves from a shooter.
We're parents. Take them the fuck out.
20 with guns. One motherfucker
That's
shooting us in the head.
his fault.
I hear you, Medislave.
I understand that, but fucking take him out or something. So much manpower and you're still not.
Have you texted the teacher? They're letting the kids out over there.
The Texas Department of Public Safety Regional Director Victor Escalante presented on Thursday a fresh timeline of events in which the shooter, Salvador Ramos, entered the school unobstructed, contradicting earlier reports. Like, come on, man. Come on. Miss me with this shit. I don't give a fuck about Brandon Tatum's 40-minute video. But let me see here.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? I feel that it is absolutely necessary for me to continue this conversation. A police officer, off-duty police officer, went in and got his own kids. Well, that's not true. There is reports that he went in and got his kids and got other people's kids and rescued a whole bunch of students. And what you have to understand is that...
So is it true or not? You said it's not true. Either he got
Border
his own kids or
Patrol
not.
off-duty guy that took the initiative and went in by himself and killed a suspect. That did not happen. That's not true. There's a woman that left police custody, went into school, and took her kids. I do not believe that that is a true statement. Now, I don't know. It could be possible.
What? See, he don't know. He just believes. He believes. Come on, James Miller. She's not even starting off on the. Come on, he ain't even starting off with any level of honesty. He just presented it as though that woman did not go in there, and now he's saying I don't believe, which is fine. But why should I give any credence to what he's saying right now?
It's highly improbable that a woman would escape custody, somehow find both of her kids in a classroom randomly and take them and don't take anybody else's.
How's that random? You know where your students are. You know where your children are. It's not random. I know where my children are in class right now. I know what classroom they're in. How is that random? What?
Left police custody, went into school, and took her kids. I do not believe that that is a true statement. Now, I don't know. It could be possible. It's highly improbable that a woman would escape custody, somehow find both of her kids in a classroom.
She was in custody? The woman escaped custody. So you have a parent of a child in custody, but you ain't got the motherfucking shooter in custody.
Randomly, and take them and don't take anybody else's kids.
Well, how do you know that? Where's he getting this information that she went and got her kids, didn't take nobody else's kids? What if the other kids just ran out with her? Like, what?
I mean, that seems to be highly unlikely. There's the idea that there was a police officer, off-duty police officer, went in and got his own kids. Well, that's not true.
He just said that the police officer went in. The idea that the police officer went in and got his own kids is not true.
There is reports that he went in and got his kids and got other people's kids and rescued a whole bunch of
reports. So he don't know jack shit. Reports. He don't know if it's true or not. But he just said it's not true. What? What? This is supposed to be gold or something? What?
Else's kids. I mean, that seems to be highly unlikely. There's the idea that there was a police officer, off-duty police officer, went in and got his own kids. Well, that's not true. There is reports that he went in and got his kids.
He just said it's not true. And now he's talking about reports that he went and got his own kids.
And got other people's kids and rescued a whole bunch of students. And what you have to understand is that off-duty don't mean you're not involved in an incident. You had people responding from all over the state. You had people responding from everywhere to get to the scene. Some were on duty, some were off duty, and everybody got involved. I'll walk you through the timeline real quick because there's a lot of suspicious and crazy things that happened, and this kid was absolutely out of his mind. And there's a lot of things that happen that you're not going to see on the television.
Yeah, no shit.
First of all, this kid shot his grandmother in the face.
We know that.
He had already purchased guns,
we know
2
that.
rifles.
We know that.
He had to have thousands of, or I say hundreds of rounds of ammo. He had made social media posts talking about that he was going to do this on a private chat with other kids.
Okay.
Mentioning that he was going to buy the gun, mentioning about being a school shooter.
So they say.
And then also stating on social media the day of that he was going to go and do these crimes.
People know this already. This is not new information.
Fortunately, there was nobody there to snitch on him or tell the police or inform law enforcement of his intentions. He shoots his grandma in the face. She's in stable condition at this point. He drives down to the school, crashes his truck, his grandmother's truck, in front of the school. He jumps out. 2 guys walked over to the crash from the funeral home that's across the street. They jump out. He begins shooting at them. They run back to the funeral home. And at the same time, there's a teacher that heard the crash, came walking out of the door that he eventually entered. The door was propped open by another teacher, or maybe that same teacher, but the teacher was the one propped the door open. The police can see it on the camera. She appears to be in a panic, runs and gets her phone to report the crash, but she leaves the door propped open. The suspect then goes from his vehicle after shooting at the guys at the funeral home. He walks over, jumps the fence, gets into the parking lot. He's now hiding behind a vehicle, shooting at the school. Police arrive at the funeral home because that's where the call came in. They got the information from the funeral home. They drove up in the parking lot at the school to address an individual that they thought was the shooter, which it wasn't. It was a teacher that was outside. They ended up driving right past the shooter, not knowing who he was and what he looked like, or didn't have the ID on him. They drove past the shooter.
Didn't have the ID on him. Was the shooter carrying the rifle? They drove past the shooter, thought a teacher was the shooter, and saw the kid, the shooter, drove past him. But did they see the rifle? They didn't see the rifle. They didn't see him in body armor that he, a tactical vest that he had on. They didn't see the tactical vest. They didn't see the firearm. What was he hiding it while he was? I'm confused.
And you can see it. It's on the camera. Is what the police officer said. The shooter then goes to the side of the school, and I'm gonna show you guys the picture, a video, a screenshot of it, because I think it's important for people to see.
Pastor,
into these classrooms from the.
Pastor Yoda says the biggest bootlicker on YouTube will always defend the blue. Yeah, of course he will. Oh, yeah, Deuce, mofo has 0 friends. Right.
Window. He's shooting into these classrooms. He gets around here. He goes into the school. He goes into one of these rooms, and this room has a bathroom that's connected. He goes in. He locks these doors behind him, and this is a troubling part, and this is a part that makes me very upset. And he began to shoot over 100 rounds into these classrooms. He was able to shoot all of those rounds into this classroom before officers were able to get and follow him, pursue him into this classroom, or pursue his path into this classroom. Now, originally, people were saying cops just stood outside and did nothing. That's not true. The officers who showed up at the scene, it was, I think I wrote the number down, but it's chicken scratch. There was multiple officers. I think they said like 9 officers or so from Uvalde PD, other surrounding agencies, local agencies, independent school district police showed up, and they forced entry into this school, or they followed in after him in this open doorway and tried to go into the hallway and follow him into this classroom where they believed he went. They were unable to get into the classrooms because they were locked. He began to shoot them from the classroom, and a few of the officers got hit, got grazed. They had to egress outside from here. They had to egress here. They did not have a good shot on him. They did not have a clear picture on him, so they could not get a pretty good shot on him. He was shooting at them through the walls, through the door, through the classroom windows.
All right. So here's this thing. They're in here. They're coming in this way, and he's shooting at them from this direction. Okay? They're shooting at him from this direction. Let me see what else it says.
And they were unable to advance on him in this classroom. But let me repeat to you guys, by the time all of this happened and he had shot over 100 rounds into this room, the police had not been able to respond yet. And I think there's a timeline situation that the guy was reporting on that I think missed.
A timeline situation.
Had a gap, but I'll put the video in the description section so you can hear the whole thing. But according to what he said, the guy came in here and shot over 100 rounds into this classroom, and officers were able to pursue him. He had the doors locked, and then there was a standoff here. Now, Uvalde Independent School District Police Chief made the decision that we are now in a barricaded situation and not an active shooter situation.
What did I say about that? Remember what I said? Remember what they said? That was the incorrect decision. When you have an armed individual and children are involved, there is no barricaded subject situation. It remains an active shooter situation, whether he stopped shooting or not. He was able to get in here and fire 100 rounds and killed however many people he killed in that initial burst. Right? And this is the thing. I'm going to get into the thing that could have been worse. But let's see what he says.
Now, I think people need to understand the difference between a barricaded shooter and an active.
Doesn't matter. What did I tell y'all? What did we go over in the last video I showed you? There is no barricaded subject in this situation. Why? Because there's children. They follow the active shooter protocol, the active shooter doctrine. When children are involved and there's a person with a gun, you go in. But you do it smartly. You do it intelligently. You don't come in you don't funnel yourself. You don't bottleneck yourself in this one fucking doorway. No. And I'm going to show you what could have happened.
Active shooter. An active shooter situation, and every police agency that I know of that exists are told to rush in and kill the guy. No questions asked. These officers that originally got on the scene rushed in to kill this guy. But they were met with gunfire, and they could not breach these doors because they were locked from the inside. And they did not have any of the equipment, shields, breaching tools to get into this classroom. So they had to egress, like I said, back out here somewhere. Now, as they egress, they're calling for additional resources and backup. Kids from these classrooms were calling in over a period of time before the tactical team got there, saying they needed help.
Not just in those classrooms. Not just in these classrooms. Remember what they said? In these classrooms, there were 2 children that are still alive that were able to call 911 from within these classrooms.
According to the police and the documents that we have, the police officers were able to save the children that called 911. After they egress, they weren't just sitting around with their thumbs up their rear end. They were rescuing kids out of these classrooms. They just couldn't get to this classroom. Now, I know some birdies. I cannot confirm or deny that they were on a TAC team that made entry and executed this guy. But they had attempted to get kids from the classroom on this side, and they were getting shot at. They were getting shot at from this door. I think they were able to get these kids to funnel out, and they were able to get kids out of multiple classrooms. But they had attempted to get kids from the classroom on this side, and they were getting shot at. They were getting shot at from this door. I think they were able to get these kids to funnel out, and they were able to get kids out of multiple classrooms in a barricaded subject situation. Now, in hindsight, according to what DPS or whatever the commander, I don't know if that was Texas Ranger DPS, according to what they said in hindsight, there should have been a more vigorous effort to pursue. At the time, they didn't have that information, and at the time, the police chief believed that they were dealing with a barricaded subject. Now, let me.
What information? What information do you need other than that there's a motherfucker in here killing people, killing children?
Give you an example of a barricaded subject. Is that, and I'm going to give you a scenario. They don't have all.
I'm done. Let me tell you something. There is no barricaded shooter situation when it involves children and an individual with a gun. It doesn't. Now, it's irrelevant whether or not he killed all these individuals as soon as he got in there, all these children. You still get your ass in there and execute them as quickly as possible, right? You could have got a shotgun, blew out the fucking doorknob. You breach with shotguns. I've done breaches with shotguns. You can do it. It's possible. Let me tell you what could have happened, right? You had 2 officers that chased him into here. Chased him into here. Right? So, okay, he's shooting at you. All right, we know, okay, he's in one of these 2 classrooms. Let's formulate a plan to get in here and get in there and get that motherfucker. No barricaded situation. There is no barricaded that's bullshit. And y'all saw it. Y'all saw what he said. It's always an active shooter situation when you got children involved and a motherfucker with a gun. So, the kid, this fucker, apparently can shoot in different directions at once. Right? So let's look at this here. It's one guy. One guy. You have people that chased him into here. They shot this way. He shot this way at them. Okay, so guess what? You're going to have to pick a spot here and fire on the door, right? And you're hoping, okay, I hope I don't hit children. But at this point, he's already in there. He's already used 100 rounds. So what you got, the best thing you can do is just try to end his life as quickly as possible to prevent more death. So as he's engaging you here, all right, okay, back out the first time. Okay, we got to come up with a plan. All right? All right, the plan is we're going to come back over here, right? We're going to approach the door, and we're going to get a shotgun and blow this motherfucker out. We're going to blow out both these doors. And then you can probably even retreat after that, right? Or you blow the doors out with a shotgun. And then you roll in with your team. And I'm not even, this is just, you know, you have to edge up the wall, right? Quietly as possible. Quietly as possible. To blow these doors out with a shotgun. A breaching shotgun with a breaching with a breaching round or slug or something like that. Don't make sure that he's not aware that you're creeping up. Now he might be alerted to these doors, right? It's one guy. All right, so let's look at this. If you want, as the team is creeping up here with the shotgun, you know how you had people come in here and get the students out? You can still do that. Get these kids out of here, right? And while you're doing that, you have a team getting these kids out, and you have eyes on these doors to make sure he's not coming out to go to more classrooms. Because as soon as he comes out, you want to lay his ass down. So you have somebody watching that position. You watching this position while they're escorting kids out, and while at the same time you have another team rolling up on this side. So you guess what? You got two breachers at the same time that can blow these doors open and go in.
A lot of information.
Hold on.
But they do know.
Right? Boom, 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 simultaneous. 3, 2, 1, bam. But you gotta, you do the
So
swing
most
out,
of the shots
bam,
that happen in the first
shoot
4 minutes of this.
Blow the doors out. Blow the knob out. Boom, door ain't locked no more. And if you wanted to take his attention off these doors, this is outside, right? Do you mean to tell me that there aren't windows here? Oh, but he was shooting at him through the windows. Okay, so if he's shooting at him through the windows, he's distracted. He's engaged with these motherfuckers. So you go in and boom, take him out. You have one officer come in here. You have one officer come in here, and whether he's in this window, this room, or this room, y'all have a shot. You can listen for if he's shooting out the window. Okay, he's engaged. Boom, let's get in there. Bam, we go in there, take this motherfucker out. And that's probably what they did after a fucking hour. That's probably what they did after that whole hour that they had to wait. That's probably what they did. But this could have been done a lot sooner with regular police officers. You don't need a SWAT team for this. Like he said, you go in immediately. Active shooter. Not barricaded subject. There is no barricaded subject. Oh, well, he didn't have the information. No one relayed that information to him. No one said, hey, breach that motherfucking shit. Kill that motherfucker. Anyway, I'm done with this guy. Notice that he didn't mention that. Well, let's see.
Incident. So a barricaded situation is that there is no more shooting. And they believe that whatever situation is isolated to this one area, they're able to get every. And it was like 19 officers posted up in these hallways. If at any point
19 officers posted up in the hallway, and they couldn't go in and get that motherfucker. 19 police officers for 19 children. Anyway, I'm done with this guy. He didn't mention, apparently, as you can see, he didn't mention that in school situations with children, there is no barricaded subject. You treat it like an active shooter situation the entire time. He glossed over that. He kind of like passed over it. I can't with this guy. Yeah. Yeah. That's that. Oop, my bad. And that's just what it is. That's just what it is, yo. Jimmy Nguyen says even the heavy-duty country exposed them. Real shit. Recently. That's what it is, man. That's what it is. That's the reality of the situation. Completely debunked. He's going to tell you, oh, it's a barricaded subject situation. No, my guy. It's not. It is not a barricaded situation. What did she say?
Alive in that classroom because it's clear why the 911 agents were not relaying the information to the police officers on the scene that there are children still alive in that classroom, because McGraw says the on-scene command
alive in that classroom, not in surrounding classrooms, in that classroom.
Commander made the decision, which he has now admitted was the incorrect decision.
The incorrect decision.
To transition from an active shooter situation to a barricaded subject situation in which protocol would be different. But McGraw made it clear that Texas adheres to the active shooter doctrine. If there are children involved and there is a person with a gun, you go in. This is not a hostage situation. This is not a barricaded subject situation. It is still considered an active shooter situation. So a pretty stunning admission here. Where it will go from here is
B. Tatum didn't tell you that. The guy wears a thin blue line cape. And he always will. Anyway, much love, like, share, subscribe. I'm going to holler at y'all later, man. It's been great talking to you. Thank you for checking me out. Thank you for hitting the like button. Appreciate it. Yeah. So y'all stay up, man. Y'all stay safe. Come on, man. Further reason to get your kids out of school. Homeschool your children. Figure it out. Whatever you got to do. Stop relying on the government to take care of you. Stop relying on the police to keep you safe. It's not going to happen 9 times out of 10. And that's just what it is. So much love to you guys, man. Y'all stay up, and let's keep marching forward toward freedom. Peace.